I just might faint. I don't know. Have any of you ever had that situation where you just weren't sure how things were going to go and you just kind of worked yourself too hard, or you worked yourself into a situation, or you're working yourself into some stressful or some place that there may be no place to return from? Well, let me tell you something. This morning we're going to talk about it because I just about fainted. How about you now? Come on, let's get it.
Todd is not only a remarkable, successful 30-year titan in business with having multiple businesses that generate multiplied millions of dollars.
And if that plan happens to be to build $1 million company, which I can help you do.
But he's humble. He's a man of God. He's a family man.
The world's news organizations are built on everything but positivity.
He is an influential entrepreneur and business speaker for over 30 years.
I've got to forecast. I've got to pronounce. I've got to project. I've got to share with you my ideas, my vision, my goals for not only myself, but for you.
That's why he's came up with his incredible concept of taking and creating a platform for people that are wired differently.
And you got to understand that your habits of your person and your habits of your business and your habits of your spirituality have to lead to the North Star of who you are. We need to figure out who we want to be in life.
Good morning, everybody. A little bit of a psych job here. I thought maybe I'd be on the road this morning, but I had talked to my wife last night. And I said, I just want to chill here in Angola one more night and watch the Detroit Lions play and have a great Sunday just with her kind of in our cabin, reflecting and putting things together in our life. So I just kind of, I feel a little loose this morning. I'm like, what do we got to talk about? Well, I've got a lot to talk about. I've got a lot of preparation for you. I've got a lot of stuff I want to do on the whiteboard with you before we got out of here in Angola, Indiana. And I'll be back in a couple weeks. Christmas is coming up around the corner. I mean, it's just crazy how this time of the season, I think, kind of sneaks up on you. And you start to wonder, where am I at in my life? Why am I running circles? Why am I right where I started? Where is life actually taking me? And I don't know why it's this time of the season that does that to most people, but it just does. Maybe that's why God put Christmas here. Maybe all this is all this hoopla and all these shenanigans that go on with Christmas, which clearly the Grinch is not all about, man. But since I'm kind of the Grinch, we have to always understand that the Grinch comes around at the end of Christmas. Can I just have a sound check, everybody? How do I sound, Joe? How do I sound, Mark? Good morning. Good morning, Nicole. Terry, good to see you. John, I'm sure you're in the background somewhere. Can you guys just give me a mic check? We had to do a mad scramble to put this back together here for me this morning. But so I wanted to take the scripture, Isaiah 4:31. Sounds great. I love the encouragement, Nicole. You encourage me. But I want to just let you guys know you're not alone in the Christmas doldrums or the Christmas pressure or the Christmas stress, right? Or that's the idea where you almost feel more tired going into Christmas than you should, because it's supposed to be a time of vacation, relaxation, some time to actually reflect and just be well. But the problem with Christmas is that we sometimes forget why we're here, the birth of Christ, or sometimes forget why we're supposed to be on this Facebook podcast. We sometimes forget who we're supposed to be sharing our love with and all the things that are going on. So we're so busy trying to keep up with the money and the time and the space and all the things that are going on in our life. And I just think it's important that you know that I'm here to care about you, and I'm here to tell you that, man, I'm right there with you. And so this whole last week, we did the spiritual gift test. And I asked you to go to gifts, that's plural, giftstest.com. And then we would kind of go over our own spiritual gifts. We spent 5 days on spiritual gifts. And then I gave you a test at the end of the week to take so that your spiritual gifts could be aware to you. Raise your hand out there. Anybody? We've got about 12 people, 15 people out here on the comments right now. So if you did the spiritual test, I just say, yes, I did it, so I can just know who to pick on. And if I have some questions I want to ask you throughout this morning, because we got about 25 minutes and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. But I just want to make sure that you did it. So if you go to if you go to gifts, plural, test, singular, giftstest.com, then you can take that spiritual gift test. And I know my family did it, and I did it, my wife did it. And just to give you a rehearse, what's going to do is take 22 spiritual gifts. You're going to take about 70 really quick questions. Don't be scared of that at all. And it's going to pop up what your top 5 spiritual gifts are. And mine was faith, leadership, teaching, discernment, and exhortation. And so that's what your results, and they'll immediately pop up for you. But this morning, so as I'm talking this morning, I want to get you to a point. I want to kind of motivate you on this Monday. For sure, tomorrow morning I will not be on the show type presentation, because my wife and I will definitely be driving our way back to Florida. So I'm super, super excited. I just think we should pray this morning. Heavenly Father, thank you for the day. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the things that are going on in our life. Thank you for our families. Thank you for the season. Thank you for all the reasons. Thank you for your gifts, your spiritual gifts. Thank you for just so many things that we aren't even aware of. Thank you for relieving the stress from us, the anxiety, helping us understand what in the world's going on in our lives and the people around us, and how we're to share and lift them up, and how we're to grow ourselves spiritually, help to grow ourselves personally, help to grow ourselves profitably. Thank you, Jesus. In your name we ask this morning. I don't often pray like that in the morning, but man, I just kind of felt compelled, because I just did. I know some of you out there saying, how am I going to get through Christmas? How am I going to get through the new year? How is my job going to look like? How am I going to make rent? How could I afford a coach? How could I afford all these things? You know, it goes through your mind, because I talked to you about that. And I just want you to understand that all things will come to pass, right? And things are going to work for you. And right now we have a show. We do this every morning. And I want to encourage you. I want you to know that regardless of whether you're paying me to coach you, whether you're trying to be coached by someone else, again, I'm going to be here for you. And I think you can rely on me. And I want to be your rock. So this morning, I want to talk to you about Isaiah 40:31. Isaiah 40:31, because I'm going to take you spiritually, I'm going to take you personally, and I'm going to take you profitably through the scripture, because the scripture kind of leads me into what I'm trying to think about, how I'm going to coach you, how I'm going to teach you, how I'm going to mentor you in everything that's going on with what's going on in our life, my business life, my personal life, and my spiritual life. I got to tell you that one of the best blessings in my life yesterday, my oldest daughter, Courtney, gave me a call on the FaceTime, and as she popped up, she kind of dissolved into a person on the screen, and there she was sitting with my little oldest grandson, Sailor Man, who is 9 now. I didn't get his age right the other day, but he's clearly 9. He's a big kid, and I haven't seen any of my grandkids for over 2 weeks, and I know some of you don't get to see your grandkids, maybe even your children, on an often basis, so I feel for you in that regards, but I'm going to be back to see my kids as early as Tuesday. But the thing that happened that inspired me on this whole conversation I was going to have to you, because I have been feeling faint. Have you been feeling faint? I have. And when my daughter called me, my oldest daughter, sometimes she's listening right now. She was my toughest one, man. I don't know. She's not like her mommy. She's not like her grandparents. She's only like one person, I can tell you, and that's all I can tell you, and it's me. And I swear I love her more than I can explain. She's my first child. I love her differently than the next 2 children. This child has worn me out, man. She wore me out, but I never quit, right? And then the next one came, and I never quit. Her mother never quit. And then the third one came. She was a little bit more compliant, listened a little bit better, because she saw the road pass of the 10-year-old daughter's ahead of her. My daughter's ahead of her. But at the end of the day, everyone are differently. I love them especially. But this first one just wore me out. But she had a child. His name's Sailor Man. I love him. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the work of being faint is not for the light of hearts. The work of being faint is this idea of this earthly piece of us that works so hard at something. We love something so much. We try so hard that we become faint. We become weary. We get tired. We don't have the strength. And we say, man, God, how can I carry on with this child, these children, this business, this life, my marriage? The stress, the finances, all the things coming on. And then Christmas comes around. It's like, how can I ever provide? Right? I know you're all there right now. You become faint. But Courtney calls me. Love you, Courtney. And as the screen clears on the Facebook, right, she dissolves into a human being. It's like, blah, 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 there she is. But what I see next to her is my grandson, Sailor, the child that wore me out about church, the child that wore me out about partying, the child that wore me out about a career, the child that wore me out about even understanding how she loved me, the child that wore me out about relationships, the child that wore me out about all the challenges in life, the child that wore me out at the age of 25 already. It was my firstborn and the pressures of being a father. I remember bringing her home as a little baby, like her mother had the baby at Parkview Hospital. And I remember finally getting her out. There was 2 of us in a room and then there was 3. And I'm like, Lord, how did this happen? Wow. And then as we walked out, I remember asking the doctor, I said, doctor, are we able to get out? He goes, yes, sir. You guys can go right now. I said, what do you mean you can go right now? Well, you can pack up your wife's things and you grab your baby and you walk out the hospital. I'm like, you're going to just let me walk out of this hospital with this little child about like this? But I haven't had any training. I didn't take any tests. I didn't pass any curriculum. I mean, how can you let me walk out? He says, you got to go. So we went into the car. We had a red Lumina. And I remember putting Courtney in the back seat because we had just bought a bassinet or a car seat that would fit in the back. And we strapped her in ever so nicely. And we tucked her in the blankets. And we made sure everything was so perfect. And then we were driving home, and as we drive home, my wife said, I need to stop over there at the department store for someone who's in the mall in Fort Wayne or something. I need to get some bras or some baby stuff or something for baby, maternity, something. I didn't focus on that. I said, like, okay, you're going to go. And she just got out of the car and walked away. I was about faint. How can you leave me right here with this 2-day-old little child? And I remember feeling faint. I remember feeling scared. I remember feeling nervous. I remember feeling like how I'm not qualified. And 30 seconds turned into a minute, and a minute turned into 5 minutes, and 5 minutes turned into 10 minutes. And I kept looking back at her, Courtney. She was cooing or something like that. She wasn't a baby that cried a lot. But I remember thinking, what am I going to do? I'm stressed out. I don't know how I'm even going to pay for this child. I don't even have a job that's working very well. And I just lost about everything I owned on the last venture I had. And I had no money. I'm looking at bankruptcy. I got a car that I'm making payments on. I got a house that I'm renting that doesn't work very well. And I got a child in the back seat of my car. I don't know the first thing about caring for. I felt so faint. Well, what I did was to pass the time and to work through that motion and that point is I'm going to talk to you about the acronym of being faint. And I'm going to talk to you about how being faint is working for you in this world spiritually, personally, and profitably. I want you to how to unbundle faint. But finally, ultimately, I got out of the car. I went around to the back seat, and I kept the heat on, and I crawled in the back seat with little Courtney, and she was in that little car seat. And I had to find some strength. I had to find some solace. I had to find some peace. I couldn't resist it. I unbuckled her up, and took her blanket, and pulled her out, and I held her on my lap. And it's funny how I had a renewed strength, and I didn't feel faint. You see, We're called to grow ourselves spiritually, personally, and profitably. We're called to have people in our lives that we mentor, even children that we have. We're called to be in those positions. We are called to almost drive ourselves into this place of being faint. I started my study this morning and I'm like, what am I going to do with this, God, this word faint, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. Here we go with the lesson. Here we go. Isaiah 40:31. I'm going to grow you spiritually, personally, and profitably. We'll get all three today right now because it's on like Donkey Kong. Thank you, Courtney, for the story. Thank you for being the beautiful little child that you were. Thank you for accepting me as who I am. Thank you for forgiving me of being an early father and even getting faint. Thank you, Kendra, for forgiving me for being faint and not being there every occasion that I probably should have and would have been. And thank you, Kara, for loving me so genuinely and so honestly and so mercifully. Thank you, children, so much. I love you. Thank you, grandchildren, for being there. I pray for you. I pray over them. I will be there with you, not soon, but not even sooner than soon. Right? So, but here's the verse in Isaiah 40:31 that says, hey, I'm going to talk to you about spiritual, personal, and profitability right now. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. If they're waiting for the Lord, they're looking for the Lord, they're seeking the Lord. If they have those who hope, seek, look, lean into, remember, lean into, what do I see out there, God? What do you have for me? Lean into, right? Lean into the Lord. That is hope. That is what it is. For those of you that are leaning in, hoping, searching, looking for, will have renewed strength. Just in the fact that you're going to lean in. Just in the fact that you're going to look. Just in the fact that you're going to hope, right? Just in the fact that you don't just sit in the front seat of that damn car with a baby cooing in the back seat. You literally are so curious. You're so rambunctious. You're so faint that you have to pull yourself out and you scramble behind the seat and you sit next to that little child that was given to me and you say, I do not want to be faint. I want to lean in. I want to see the hope. I want to seek. Right? I want to look. By doing that, you will have what is called renewed strength. They will soar. Then you will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. And you will walk and not be faint. Right, here it is. Can we see it? But those who hope in the Lord, lean in, right, will renew their strength. If you hope and lean in and look and you get in the back seat, you don't just hide up in the front seat. You go in, you look for it, and you lean in, and you do those things, will renew their strength. I had renewed strength, right? They will soar on wings like eagles, like literally. So God's saying, if you do this, then you will do this. If you do this, then you will do this. If you do this, then you will do this. You see what I'm saying? I know at the mercy of looking foolish, I want you to understand, you will remember this. If you lean in, you will soar. If you lean in, you will soar. All right? Think about that metaphor, right? So I got you rolling right now. All right, so but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles then. They will also run and not grow weary, right? And then here we go. They will walk and not be faint. Lean in. You want renewed strength? Lean in. You want to soar like an eagle, right? Seek. You want renewed strength and you want to soar like an eagle? Lean in, seek, and look. And all that to say that if you do the seek and you have the hope and you lean in, you will soar on wings like an eagle. You will have that renewed strength and you will not grow weary and you will not be faint. So what's happening here is that we're taking the natural and making it supernatural. I want you to write that down. We're taking the natural and we're making it supernatural. I want you to take your natural walking and make it never get weary, right? Take your natural running. If you run forever, you can't be like Forrest Gump in the movie. But what I'm saying is, if you run and you run and you run and you run, sooner or later, your naturalness will get weary. And if you walk long enough, then your naturalness, you will get faint. Right? Well, God is removing that and saying that will not happen. Your natural faint, your natural weary will go away, and you will soar like an eagle on the wings of an eagle. So I just want you to take that acronym and understand. When we go into faint here, in this last 10 minutes, I want you to understand what I'm trying to share with you here is this idea of, if you want renewed strength and you lean into God, and you're going to need to lean into God for your personal growth and your profitable growth in your business and in your life, I want you to understand you have to lean in. You have to lean in. Because we want to take the natural energies, the things that were making me faint in my life, the natural things that made me tired at the end of a football game, the natural things that made me tired in my business walk, right? You don't think I get tired in business? You don't think I understand how weary you are in your business, Angela? You don't think I don't understand, Deborah, how faint you might be in your weariness of your walk and trying to get something bought and purchased and look through things and being put behind the blockade time and time again? God's talking to you, entrepreneurs. He's talking to us wired differently people. He's talking to us about how not to be weary, how not to be faint, how to become a supernatural position versus a natural position. And that's how we do it, by leaning in so that we can soar. All right? All right, so here we go. What I thought I would do for you this morning in these last 10 minutes, I was going to take the word faint, F-A-I-N-T, right? And I was going to break it down into an acronym, all right, on how to grow yourself out of being faint. Right? So this is the lesson here, right? So if you had your spiritual gifts and you know what your spiritual gifts are, you would have something to rest this on. Hello, everybody. Wow, lots of comments. I'll get to you in a little bit. So what I thought I would do, since we know Isaiah 40:31 is speaking to us about our energy level, our ability to keep going, our ability not to quit. We cannot quit. We can't look at this season and quit. We can't look at New Year's and quit. We can't stop being who God called us to be. We can't stop being what our spiritual gifts are. Now that we know what our spiritual gifts are, we need to triangulate them in with our personal growth, our spiritual growth, and our profitable growth. So we're putting all this together. Everything we do on this morning show is always coming together, man. It's always piling together, because what's got to happen is every show has to lead to another show, and another show leads to another show, and we're all pointing north, right? The North Star of our habits is what? Our identity. And we want our identity to be what? Christ-like. The North Star of our habits is our identity, and we want our identity to be Christ-like. And for us to have a Christ-like identity, we have to have 51% of all of our personality and identity votes going towards Christ-likeness. And that's why we have to talk about spiritual growth, personal growth, and profitable growth in all that we do to grow our businesses, because we want to nail this first and foremost. And so what I want you to do is understand, if I want you to stop being faint, and I want you to start not worrying about the little baby in the back seat of the car seat the way you are, how you're going to provide, how you're going to do it, how you're going to swaddle her, how you're going to feed her, how are you going to support her, how are you going to do all the things. I want you to get in the back seat with the little child. I want you to get in the back seat and sit right next to that godly little creature that was created not really by you, but by God, right? By your wife and God, right? Like God put her together. God put her in my life for so many reasons. I'm just now finding out so many even more. But for me to have the identity, right? To have the identity of Christ, like I have to understand my habits must asphyxiate towards that identity. The North Star of my habits is my identity. And I want my identity, I want your identity to be a Christ-like business follower. And the reason why we feel like we're fainting is because we're pushing and pushing and pushing. And God is someone who will push us. He tells us to be of comfort, right? He tells us to be content. In Hebrews 13:5, he tells us to be content. But then in that same verse, he's also challenging us not to love money, but to love him, but to be more aggressive in him. We're not content in our life. We're content in him. And in he will push us to be greater than this world here. So we are motivated to be more like God in a human form and to be more like Christ, like who never quit. He just didn't call God one day. He said, man, I'm tired of this gig. This job isn't working out the way I want it to work out. I know I interviewed for it, and you put me down here, and you thought I was the perfect guy and everything. But you know what? I just think that's not for me anymore. I'm going to go down to the temp agency and look for another job and see what's going on. I might just go back to this carpentry stuff. It was a lot easier. No, Christ didn't do that. He never quit. He kept going forward. And I see when you hear the word content in Hebrews 13:5, I want you to understand God has called us to go forward, be content in what God has for us. Now use it to go grow because he wants us to grow. I want the North Star of your identity to be as Christ-like as possible. North Star of your habits to be as Christ-like as possible. This show is a good step for you to be more like Christ and less like the world. So here we are. I'm going to just rip these off potato chips. So we got about 5 minutes. Spiritual growth, personal growth, and profitable growth. And so I thought I would do this kind of acrostic situation here. Let's see if I can get this a little closer for you. Because I thought it would be kind of cool. So I took FAINT. Any of you out there are aspiring to be speakers or want to do presentations in this similarity of anything of that type? One of the coolest ways to actually create a message is to, built around an acrostic. And so an acrostic means you take the word FAINT and you assign it to a word to the letter, and then you teach on what the first letter, second, third, fourth, and fifth letter mean in order. And our subject matter right now is how to leave faintness, how to get out of your tired and weariness, how to leave from where you are to go who do you want to be. Because sometimes we have to just leave who we are to become who we want to be. We have to leave who we are to become who we want to be, right? Right? So here we go. Spiritual. F stands for focus. Interestingly enough, F is for focus. If you want to get better, you want to get out of feeling tired and weary in your spiritual life, in your spiritual study, don't study the whole Bible. Go in and study a small portion of the Bible. Get focused, right? Now, here's what I did next. Now, on personal growth. I wanted to see what F would work for in personal growth and what does F work for in spiritual growth, personal growth. In personal growth, if you're getting weary and you're getting tired and confused, get more focus on a speciality, right? Get more focus on your personal growth. Get more focus on this piece of you that's watching stupid movies, watching too much TikTok exercise videos, watching, reading things that don't make any sense to your life. Read on how to go to the gym, how to grow muscle mass, how to lose weight. Get more focus in the area that you're truly craving. So number one, F to getting over faintness in spiritual walk is focus on finite scripture. Personal growth, it's focus on finite personal health, right? And last but not least, profitable growth is F for focus also. And I want you to be more focused on your craft. Do the reps on your craft. That has to happen. You're looking too big picture. I'm coaching a lot of you out there. Don't look at the whole P&L. Don't look at the whole service model. Don't look at everything all at once, all the time. Boil it down. Get focused on your craft, how to make your product better, right? Number two, A, faint. A is for anchor. Spiritual growth, find your anchor. What is your anchor? God, right? personal growth, I need you to learn to adapt, right? To get out of being faint, you got to adapt to what's making you tired and weary. And number 3, profitable growth, adaptability. One is in personal growth, go do it. Don't wait around. You have to adapt right now. In profitable growth, build into your business model the ability to be adaptable. Don't wait to go be adaptable. Build into your business model and all your studies how to become and be adaptable in systems. Make sense? In systems. I in spiritual growth, incline your heart to love the Lord. Incline your heart. Incline means that I want to lean into loving God with my heart. Number 3 for faint in personal growth is initiative. I need you to have more initiative. I need you to get up earlier. I need to go to bed a little later. I need you to be more purposeful in your stride. And last but not least, profitability. I need you to be innovation. I need more innovation in your business. We can't keep doing things the same way we're doing them because that will create faintness. That will create the marketplace to go around you, right? We need innovation. Sometimes we're becoming tired and worried and faint because people are beating our tail at our own game because we're not getting innovative, right? And go down here to N. I want you spiritual growth to get out of being faint, weary, or tired, or losing, right? Never forget faithfulness. Never forget. N is for never forget, right? I want you to understand that God will be the same today, tomorrow, and forever. He is there for you. Maybe you're not drawing on him enough. Maybe your faith needs a little bit of workover, right? And then N for personal growth. I want you to nurture. Now, I want you to nurture yourself, right? We're called to love ourselves. We're called to love others as ourselves. So I first and foremost need you to nurture yourself, right? This is pretty important. We're almost done. Hanging in there, growing in followers right here. Nurture yourself. And last but not least, in profitability, I need you to get out there and network more. Show yourself. A lot of times we're not out in the public networking our businesses because we're not confident in our businesses. So if you're not networking, maybe you're not confident in what your product is or how your product is going to help somebody. So I want to make sure that you understand. So we got to never forget in the spiritual getting out of faintness. We got to be more, we have to nurture ourselves and our personal growth, which is through study, understanding our growth, understanding our craft, understanding what needs to get better in us and our own personality traits, right? And last but not least, in business profitable growth, I need the N to be for networking. Get out there and network. And I'm going to close this out. Fail, spiritual. The final letter is T. I need you to trust in God's timing, which brings us all the way back out to Isaiah 4:31, God's timing. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. You need to hope in the Lord so that your strength will be renewed. I need you to lean into the Lord so you can soar, and then your strengths will be renewed. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint, right? So if we trust in his timing, what's going to happen? We're going to take our natural gifts and turn them into spiritual gifts, which takes us back to last week's study of spiritual gifts. We have to take our natural gifts into supernatural spiritual gifts, right? That's what has to go on in that regard. And T for personal growth is tenacity, right? If you want to grow personally, you have to have tenacious tenacity in yourself. Tenacity in yourself. Right? It's easy to be tenacity about a process or a project or a goal, but where is the tenacity in yourself? We miss that whole piece. Sometimes we're so much about goal-oriented and goal worship that we forget to be tenacious in ourselves. We forget to be tenacious in ourselves. I want you to understand, I need you to beat your chest. I need you to think, I can do this. I am tenacious in my own growth. I can't serve others if I can't serve myself. I need to be tenacious. And last but not least, tenacity is the action or the verb of tenacity is in our profitable growth. We have to be tenacity driven. We have to have tenacity in the system of our company, in the system of our leadership. See what I'm trying to say here, my friends? I want you to think about this right now as we get ready for this whole week. So in Isaiah 40:31, we read this right here, that we wanted to soar on eagle's wings, right? It says up there, though, that but those who hope in the Lord will renew the strength. But those, because the previous sentence in Isaiah 40:29 says, have you not known, have you not heard the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth? Have you not heard about this guy? Neither he is faint, nor he is weary. He is understanding and unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases their strength. He is unsearchable. You understand the magnitude of the word unsearchable? I want you to look at AI. I want you to look at Google. I want you to look at Bing. I want you to look at AOL. I want you to look at any of these search engines out there in this entire world, the vastness of what we can see in this life. Think about the data. Think about all of the massive, think about just the pictures on your iPhone, let alone 300 billion people with all this data equally on their phone. Think about it all being stored in some place in nature. And trillions and billions of characters and memory, all the things that you could search. God is unsearchable. He is, let's try to say, he's, even back then, he was unsearchable. Like the vastness of the world of things people could think of before the internet. Now just take all of the world before the internet, then dogpile all this searchable information. God is bigger than all search engines and the data inside of a search engine. Isaiah 40 says that God is unsearchable and he will not grow weary. He will not grow faint. And he's telling us, if you look at your acumen, here's the fictional prophet says, here is your roadmap. Here's how you're going to do it. Spiritually, personally, and profitably. I love you guys. Appreciate everything you're doing. I know you can do it. Have a great Christmas, right? And let's soar.